Fair use notice. This video contains material the use of which has not always been specifically authorized by the copyright owner. I am making such material available in an effort to advance understanding of environmental, political, human rights, economic, democracy, scientific, and fair use of any such copyrighted material as provided for in Section 107 of the U.S. Copyright Law. In accordance with Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, the material in this video is distributed without profit to those who have expressed a prior interest in receiving the included information for research and educational purposes. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit educational or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. In other words, I don't want Watchtower suing me for using their material. A curious thing happened to me the other day. A person that I worked with, she was going to have a grandchild. And I say was because that's the issue. Her daughter had a miscarriage. They don't know why. They don't understand what happened, what went on, and my immediate thought was, well, you can just try again. And I got called insensitive for it. And I thought to myself, that's not insensitive. That's what happens. That's what you're supposed to do. And then I thought, well, since I have all this material that the Watchtower has put out, I wonder what it says about abortion and miscarriages and all that. At least that's got to be consistent, right? Well, not so much. April 1st, 1969 Watchtower. It's the first instance of miscarriage that I could come up with. It's page 223 and 224, questions from readers. Can a woman who has had a stillborn child reasonably expect the baby to be resurrected if she is faithful to God? And it quotes Revelation 21:4. Death will be no more, neither will mourning nor outcry nor pain be any more. The former things have passed away. It says, and I quote, only then will such tragic results of human imperfection be eliminated. When a woman conceives, an ovum being fertilized by a male sperm, life is passed on. According to God's view, the living embryo or fetus in the womb is considered a soul, and under normal circumstances it will, in time, be a separate individual before God. According to the Mosaic Law, If a man damaged a woman, causing her to lose the child developing in her womb, the punishment was soul for soul. And it quotes Exodus 21, 22, and 23. It is for this reason that from a biblical standpoint, willful abortion is murder. And it quotes Exodus 20, verse 13, and 1 Peter 4, verse 15. End quote. And it goes on. Maybe if I can get it to, there we go. Let's see. Again, and I quote the next paragraph down. What about the possibility of a resurrection in those cases? And it's talking about growing to full term and born and stillborn births. Resurrection implies a raising to life again. The examples in the Bible of persons raised to human life again. Okay, whoop. The examples in the Bible of persons raised to human life again indicate that the person comes back to life with the same degree of physical and mental growth possessed at death. And it quotes 2 Kings 4, 17 through 36, Acts 20, 9 through 12. Applying that to miscarriages and stillborn deliveries, it is reasonable that in the future Jehovah will insert back into the womb of a woman partially developed embryo, or possibly a number of them. No, that does not seem so. So basically, the Watchtower is going and saying that you had a miscarriage, too bad. Again with the article. Nor is it likely that women who have had this sad experience actually expect that. Furthermore, resurrection is for persons who have lived as individuals before Jehovah. Even a child who lives for only a short time after birth has existed as a separate person. But a miscarried fetus or stillborn child, though from a biblical standpoint considered a soul, while it was developing, never actually lived as a separate and distinct individual. So it would appear that such situations do not fall under the resurrection provision outlined in the Bible. And it quotes Acts 24, verse 15. And it keeps going. Another instance is August 1st, 1977, page 478 through 480. Again, questions from readers. And it basically states the same thing. That one's talking about abortion. March 15th, 1984, page 30 and 31 on the March 15th, 1984 Watchtower. Again, questions from readers. It's talking about a miscarriage, and it's same thing, you know. Another one, August 15th, 1995 Watchtower. Page 30, paragraphs 1 through 3, miscarriages and stillbirths. One more, 10 years later. March 15th, 2005, Watchtower, page 8. Praising Jehovah Today. But then, Watchtower, April 15th, 2009. So, from 69 to 2009, it took them 40 years. And this is on page 492 of 493 of the bound volume. Again, questions from readers. There's a lot of questions from readers. Tell you what. And it goes, and I quote, "Is there any hope of a resurrection for a baby that dies in its mother's womb? For those who have never suffered the loss of an unborn baby in this way, it may be difficult to imagine the feelings of those who have. Some parents grieve such losses intensely. One mother lost 5 children before they were born. In time, she felt blessed to raise 2 healthy sons. Yet she remembered each loss to the end of her days. She knew just how old her stillborn and miscarried babies would have been had they survived. Do such Christians have a basis for hoping in a resurrection to restore what they have lost?" That's a good question. It's kind of like in the 1969 Watchtower. Quoting again, "The simple answer to the question is that we do not know." Wait a minute. It said in 1969 that, what? New light? The Bible never directly addresses the matter of a resurrection for babies who were stillborn or lost through a miscarriage. Nonetheless, God's Word does contain principles that bear on the question that may offer a measure of comfort. Let us consider 2 related questions. First, from Jehovah's viewpoint. When does the life of a human being begin at conception or birth? Second, how does Jehovah view the unborn? As unique individuals or as mere collections of cells and tissues in a woman's womb? Bible principles give clear answers to both questions. The Mosaic Law, again quoting the Mosaic Law, clearly revealed that the life begins not at birth, but much earlier. How so? It showed that the killing of a fetus would incur the death penalty. Note this law. You must give soul for soul. So they quote the exact same scripture, Exodus 21:2 and 22 and 23. Thus the unborn child in the womb is alive and is a living soul. Understanding that timeless truth has helped millions of Christians to repudiate the practice of abortion, seeing it as a serious sin against God. Granted, the unborn child is alive, but what value does Jehovah place on that life? The law cited above demanded that an adult be put to death for causing the death of an unborn child. Clearly, then, the life of an unborn child has great value in God's eyes. Furthermore, numerous passages in the scriptures reveal that Jehovah sees the unborn as distinct individuals. For example, King David was inspired to say to Jehovah, You kept me screened off in the belly of my mother. Your eyes saw even the embryo of me, and in your book all its parts were down in writing, as regards the days when they were formed. And it quotes Psalms 139, 13 through 16, Job 31, 14 and 15. Jehovah also sees that the unborn have distinct traits and may have great potential for the future. While Isaac's wife Rebekah was pregnant with twins, Jehovah uttered a prophecy about the boys struggling in her womb, suggesting that he had already saw traits in them that would have far-reaching effects. And it quotes Genesis 25, 22, 23, Romans 9, 10 through 13. And it quotes the case of John the Baptist, Luke 1:41. So it gives all these interesting little examples. Here's where it gets interesting, though. Let me find it. Okay, and I quote, "Indeed, they might feel that such an argument undermines our scriptural stand against abortion." Oh, hold up. Back up here. It says, consider this example. One mother gives birth prematurely to a living baby who dies after a few days. Another mother carries her baby to full term, but the child dies just before birth. Is the first mother blessed with the hope that her child will be resurrected, and simply because of the happenstance of a premature birth, whereas the second mother has no such hope? To summarize then, the Bible clearly teaches that life begins at conception, and that Jehovah sees the unborn child as a unique and valued individual. In the light of those scriptural truths, it's cute, some might see it as inconsistent to argue that there is no hope for a resurrection of an unborn child that dies. Indeed, they might feel that such an argument undermines our scriptural stand against abortion, which is largely based on those very truths. I think they're setting up for something. What do you think? In the past, this journal has raised some In the past, this journal has raised some practical questions that seem to cast doubt on the possibility of a resurrection for children who died before birth. I think maybe they might have gone back and referenced stuff before they said this. What do you think? For example, would God implant even a partially developed embryo in the womb of a woman in paradise? Here's where it gets interesting. However, further study and prayerful meditation has led the governing body to conclude that such considerations do not really have a bearing on the resurrection hope. Jesus said, "All things are possible with God," and it quotes Mark 10 verse 27. Jesus' own experience demonstrated the truth of that statement. His life was transferred from heaven to the womb of a young virgin, surely an utter possibility from a human standpoint. So wait a minute. They went from, in 1969, and so on and so forth, saying, no, it's not feasible to have that happen. All the way down through 2009. And that came from the April 15th, 2009 Questions from Readers, page 492 and 493 in the bound volume. So they switched from (1969) excuse me, when they said and I quote, "No, that does not seem so, nor is it likely that women who have had this sad experience actually expect that." Talking about the implantation of the embryo. And I thought, that's extremely curious. Why would you go and say one thing one way, and then another thing another way, and have them be 40 years apart? Watchtower. Go figure. That's the first instance of flip-flopping of doctrine that I found personally. And it kind of blew my mind a little. Of course, I should know better, because it is Watchtower, and they do make a habit of doing that. But tell me what you think. And I do apologize for not making a video for a few days. I have been diving into the depths of Watchtower, and shout out to the Great Apostate for scanning an old book that he had for me. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. That's all I got for now. and to brother so-and-so. In the comments of Great Apostate's homophobic video. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. I don't know if you're an elder. I don't know if you have been disfellowshipped. I don't know. But I will say this much. I've had company with district overseers and COs, and was taught this doctrine from my inception by a man who was taught by someone very high in the organization. I know how to research, and the fact that you blatantly ignore absolutely everything wrong with the organization. The Australian Royal Commission, Candice Conti, the list goes on and on and on and so forth and so on. The fact that you can ignore all that and still go and basically say, this is the truth, that you, sir, are a brick wall. And I kind of feel sorry for you. But leads you to the door. You're the only one that can open it. And that's okay. What can any of us do? That's all for now. Black Sheep, the Unwitness. Bye.